The trade station drifted above a blue star. It was slowly dying. Light from the star washed the metal halls in pale color. Many species passed through the station, but humans were still rare visitors. Most aliens believed humans were weak and short-lived. They saw humans as useful workers, not as equals. Era watched the station from a glass corridor. She was an alien scientist trained to study life across worlds. Her people valued logic and long memory. They lived long lives and trusted numbers more than stories. To Era, humans were a puzzle with an easy answer. Their bodies were soft, their lives were short, and their history was full of loss. She believed they survived only by luck and help from others. Era had come to the station to review old research. Her task was to confirm that interspecies birth with humans was not possible. The data already said no. Her leaders wanted a final report so the matter could be closed forever. To Era, this work felt simple and safe. They worked far below the glass corridor. He was a human engineer assigned to station repair. He had grown up on a poor colony where broken machines were normal. He learned early to fix things with calm hands and clear thought. On the station, he spoke little and worked long hours. Many aliens did not even learn his name. One cycle, the station shook without warning. A deep sound rolled through the metal like thunder. Lights flickered. Gravity shifted for a moment. Panic spread fast. Species that ruled great empires screamed and ran. Old guards froze, unsure what to do. Day did not run. He checked his wrist console and saw the problem. A cooling line near the reactor had failed. If it broke fully, the station would lose power and air. Day moved toward the danger, while others moved away. Era felt the shake and stopped walking. Her training told her to seek shelter. Still, she saw something strange through the corridor wall. A human was moving toward the reactor ring alone. No escort, no command signal. Just steady steps. Era followed at a distance, curiosity pulling her forward. She watched as Day opened a sealed panel by hand. Heat rushed out. Warning lights flashed red. Day's suit alarm screamed, but he muted them. He focused on the broken line and sealed it with a manual clamp. The shaking stopped. Lights stabilized. Airflow returned to normal. The danger passed. Not only then did guards arrive. They stared at the human in silence. Some looked ashamed. Others looked confused. Era felt something new. It was not fear. It was respect. Later, Era requested the incident report. Day's name appeared once, listed as maintenance staff. No medal, no speech. Just a note that the problem was resolved. Era asked to meet him. They met in a small lab filled with soft light. Day stood near the door, unsure why a high-level alien scientist wanted to speak with him. Era studied him closely. He was smaller than her species. His skin showed signs of age and stress. His eyes were tired but calm. She asked why he went alone to the reactor. Day answered simply. It was his job. If he waited, people could die. Era asked if he felt fear. Day paused. He said fear was always there, but it did not decide his actions. He learned that long ago. Era recorded his words. They did not fit her models. The station council soon announced a cultural exchange program. It was meant to calm tensions after the incident. Era was assigned as lead observer. Day was assigned as human support staff. Era did not object. She wanted to see more. They worked together reviewing old human records. Day explained how humans survived on harsh worlds with little help. He spoke of storms, hunger, and loss. He did not speak with pride or shame. He spoke as if survival was normal. Era listened and compared his stories to her data. The numbers said humans should have failed. The stories said they adapted instead. She noticed how Day treated danger as a problem to solve, not as a reason to stop. She noticed how he respected alien rules, even when they slowed him down. She noticed how he never asked for reward. Hera began to doubt her final report. At the end of the cycle, Hera stood again in the glass corridor. The blue star pulsed weakly below. Day stood beside her, quiet as always. Hera realized something important. Humans were not strong because of their bodies. They were strong because they chose to act when others hesitated. For the first time in her long life, Hera felt that her simple answer might be wrong. Days passed on the trade station, and the calm after the reactor incidents slowly faded. Work returned to normal, but something had changed beneath the routine. Hera found her thoughts returning to the human more often than expected. She had studied thousands of species, yet none had unsettled her conclusions like this. Hera spent long hours reviewing human data again. She reread reports she had once ignored. Human colonies built on frozen moons. Human settlements surviving endless heat. Human crews repairing ships while under fire. The records were full of loss, yet also full of rebuilding. The more she read, the more her certainty weakened. Day continued his work as before. He repaired panels, replaced cables, and crawled through narrow service tunnels. He did not notice the attention gathering around him. Some aliens watched him with curiosity now. Others watched with concern. Humans were not meant to stand out. The cultural exchange program officially began. Hera and Day were assigned shared lab time. The space was small and quiet, designed for study rather than comfort. Hera arranged the tools with careful order. Day adjusted the room to improve airflow without being asked. Hera noticed this and said, nothing. Their conversations were simple at first. Hera asked questions. Day answered honestly. He did not try to impress her. When he did not know something, he said so. When he disagreed, he did so politely. Hera asked him about human bonds. Day explained that humans formed strong emotional connections to survive hardship. Families, teams, and shared purpose mattered more than individual strength. Hera compared this to her own people, who relied on long planning and rigid structure. She wondered if humans survived because they accepted uncertainty instead of trying to control it. During one session, Hera proposed a symbolic biological compatibility test. It was part of the exchange program and required no expectation of outcome. The station laws allowed it under strict consent and monitoring. Hera presented it as a formality meant to reinforce existing conclusions. They listened carefully. He understood the weight of the request. He asked questions about safety and consent. Hera answered all of them clearly. There was no pressure from either side. The act would mean nothing beyond science, or so the station believed. They agreed. The procedure was approved by the station council within hours. Most members considered it harmless. Human biology had failed such tests before. Hera herself believed the result would confirm impossibility. The union took place in a controlled medical chamber. There was no ceremony, no audience, only quiet machines and neutral observers. Hera felt no expectation. Day felt no fear, only responsibility to follow the rules. When it was over, both returned to their duties. Days passed with no changes. Hera resumed her work. Day repaired systems. The station continued its trade cycles. Then Hera noticed small differences in herself. Changes too minor to trigger alarms. Slight shifts in energy. Altered sensory responses. Her people were highly stable biologically. Such variation was rare. She ran tests on herself in private. The results were unclear. The data did not match known illness patterns. Hera dismissed the thought that came to her mind. It was impossible. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread. Some alien staff questioned why a human had been allowed such access. Others whispered that humans were dangerous because they acted without hesitation. A few quietly expressed admiration. They sensed the change in behavior around him. Guards followed him more closely. Supervisors asked more questions. He remained calm, focusing on his work. Era requested additional scans under the excuse of routine research. This time, the results changed. The medical system flagged an anomaly. Era stared at the data in silence. The readings showed early signs of cellular fusion, unlike anything recorded before. Two genetic systems adapting instead of rejecting. Era felt something she had never felt in her long life. Uncertainty mixed with awe. She called for a second analysis. Then a third. Each confirmed the same result. Era contacted the station medical council. The room filled quickly with specialists from multiple species. The data was projected in silence. No one spoke at first. Finally, a senior physician said the word that broke centuries of belief. Viable. The chamber erupted into debate. Some denied the result. Others accused Era of manipulation. A few demanded immediate containment. Era defended the data with calm logic. She showed every step, every control, every safeguard. The science was clear. Day was summoned. He entered the chamber unaware of the storm waiting for him. When he saw the displays, he understood the gravity at once. He listened without interrupting. When asked how he felt, Day answered simply. He said responsibility mattered more than fear. If his presence caused harm, he would cooperate fully. If it caused hope, he would protect it. His words did not ease the council. They unsettled it. News traveled beyond the station. Messages were sent to distant systems. Political channels activated. Long-standing treaties suddenly felt fragile. Era was ordered to remain under observation. Day was restricted from leaving the station. Neither protested. In the quiet, after the council dispersed, Era and Day stood alone again. In the lab. Era admitted the truth. Her final report was no longer possible. Humans could not be. Dismissed, Day looked at her and said something. Simple. He said humans never survived. Because others allowed them to. They survived because they adapted when survival was the only choice. Era understood. Then that the station was no longer just a place of trade. It had become the beginning of something the galaxy was not ready to face. The days after the news spread slowly, Era felt the weight of what was happening. She was used to logic and clear answers, but this was different. Something new was growing inside her, and no one knew what it meant. They watched the station with quiet eyes. People looked at him in new ways. Some were afraid. Some were curious. Some whispered behind his back. He stayed calm and focused on helping Era and the child. Doctors checked Era every day. They were careful and serious. The child was a mix of two very different kinds of life. It was unknown and strange to them. But the child was real, and it was growing. Far from the station, news spread fast. Some leaders called the child a miracle, a new hope for many species. Others called it dangerous, a threat to their ways and beliefs. Era received messages from her home. Some told her to end the pregnancy. They feared what this child might mean for their culture. Others told her to protect the child, to show the galaxy that change was possible. The station's leaders argued. Some wanted to move Era to a safe place, away from others. They said it was for her safety and the child's. Others wanted her to stay free and choose for herself. Day stood beside Era without fear. He promised to protect her and the child no matter what. He spoke with quiet strength that made even the leaders pause. After long talks, the council agreed to let Era stay on the station, but under watch. They knew she was important, and so was the child. Era and Day worked together to gather proof. They found old research showing humans could survive and change in ways many did not believe. They showed that their bodies could adapt more than anyone thought. Slowly, some leaders began to change their minds. The fear began to lessen. Era felt hope. She knew the child would face many challenges, but also could bring many new chances. They thought of Earth, his home world far away. He hoped his people would be proud. He hoped they would see this as a new beginning. The station kept working, but now something new was growing. The child was more than just a life. It was a symbol of hope for many worlds. Era and Day stood together, ready for what was coming. They did not know the future, but they believed in life, change, and the strength to keep going. The days passed slowly on the station. Era's body changed every day. The life inside her grew stronger, and so did the worries around her. Some people wanted to study her closely, but others whispered about danger. Fear mixed with hope. Day stayed close to Era. He helped with her work and watched over her. He did not leave her side. He knew the child was important, not just to them, but to many worlds. He felt proud, but also worried that the station council kept meeting. Some leaders wanted to control Era and the child. They wanted to decide what should happen next. They spoke of purity and safety, but their words felt cold to Era. Other leaders argued for freedom. They said the child was a new start. They wanted the child to grow in peace. These voices grew louder, but the fight was not over. Era felt torn. She wanted to protect the child and show the world it was possible to live together. But she also knew many feared change. Her people had long traditions, and this child was breaking all of them. One day, a group came to take Era to a secure place. They said it was for safety, but it felt like a prison. They would not let them take her alone. He stood firm and spoke with quiet power. He told the leaders that he would protect Era and the child with his life. He would not let fear win. The leaders saw his strength and paused. After long talks, they agreed that Era could stay on the station, but with guards nearby. Era and Day worked to share their story. They found old records showing that humans were stronger and more adaptable than others believed. They showed that life could change in ways no one expected. Their proof helped calm some fears. Some leaders began to accept that the child was not a threat, but a new hope. Despite this, Era felt the pressure every day. Some members of her people called her a traitor. Others sent quiet warnings. But Day stayed by her side, steady and strong. The child inside Era grew quickly. Its first movements were soft but certain. Era felt life in a way she never had before. The connection between mother and child was deep and real. The station was no longer just a place for trade and science. It had become a place where new ideas and new life met. The future was uncertain, but it was bright with possibility. Era and Day stood together, ready to face whatever came next. They knew the road would be hard, but they believed in the power of life, love, and hope. The day finally came. The child was born quietly in a small room filled with soft light. Doctors from many species watched carefully. They recorded every moment, knowing this was a new chapter for many worlds. Era held the child in her arms. The baby was small but strong. Its skin had soft shades from both parents. It breathed calmly, and its eyes opened slowly to the new world. Day stood nearby, watching with pride and wonder. He felt the weight of what this child meant. It was more than a new life. It was a symbol of hope, change, and unity. News spread quickly across the station and beyond. Many species sent messages of congratulations. Some still doubted, but most could not ignore what had happened. Era's people began to change. Old rules and fears gave way to new understanding. They saw the child not as a threat, but as a new step in evolution. They began to listen and learn. The station council made new laws. They allowed more open contact between species. They promoted cooperation instead of fear. They celebrated the child as a new beginning. Hera and Day became leaders in this new time. They worked to build bridges between worlds. They shared stories of strength and survival. They showed that life could grow in unexpected ways. The child grew quickly, learning from both parents. It was curious and brave. It learned many languages and customs. It became a symbol of hope for many species. Some challenges remained. Not all worlds accepted change so easily. Some leaders still saw the child as a danger. But Hera and Day faced these challenges with calm and strength. They knew the road ahead would be long. They knew they would face fear and anger. But they believed in life and love. They believed in the power to change the galaxy. The story closed with a promise. A promise that the child, and all who came after, could live free and strong. A promise that the stars were no longer a place of fear, but a home for many.